Hi there. Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks is an exciting new digital opportunity to obtain mentoring to help you improve your modeling. You will meet talented modelers and manufacturers from all over the world who share their model building skills and artistic advice. Improve your modeling and increase the confidence in your modeling efforts. Share your building efforts with fellow modelers and have some fun doing it. The shows are live on Zoom and YouTube, so be sure to join in and ask your questions. Now here is New Tracks founder and your host, Jim KELLOW MMR.
Well, welcome. We certainly do appreciate you joining us this evening and hope you enjoy the show. We think that it's a unique kind of opportunity for you. There's always something different. There's always different people, and we're non-judgmental. So if you're worried about joining our show because you may not feel that you're the greatest modeler in the world, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. None of us are. We just are modelers that are having a great time and like to make contributions to help other people possibly improve their modeling. That's all we are. But thanks for coming. I really hope that you learned something this evening, and most of all, have some fun with us. I'd like now to turn to Father Ron Walters for our prayer.
O God, as we express our creativity by creating in miniature the world around us, may we marvel at the beauty and genius which created the world and instilled in us a portion of your great knowledge and wisdom. Give success to the work of our hands, O God. Amen.
Thank you so much, Father Ron. We really appreciate your help and your guidance. We do a show on Saturday afternoon. Chris Blackmar is the moderator of it. It's called the Scratch Building Workshop. Chris is building an ice house and has been for a while. But it's not just a program about building an ice house. It's a program about scratch building. Chris has guests that try to indicate the same as we do on this show, the different ways that they do their scratch building, the things that they may have problems with, and the way that they have solved those problems, and how they may be able to give you some advice on what's involved in learning the skills and the techniques to be able to scratch build anything you want in any scale that you want to build it in. It is not that hard. It is not rocket science. It's just paying attention and trying to learn from people who have done it many, many times and feel that they can help you learn the basic techniques and skills necessary to be a successful scratch builder. It's at 1 o'clock every Saturday, and hope that you'll join us. The build-alongs are very popular on our show, and we have them now through the end of this year already lined up. In fact, we have some already for January of next year. So we're very happy about that. Frankly, we're very proud that the manufacturers want to participate with us, and we've got modelers who want to build them on our show to show you just how easy it can be to build some of what are called craftsman kits. So the ones that I want to talk about are the two that are going to start really soon here. One of them is a CAD build along. You're going to hear about that, so I'm not going to talk about that much tonight because Earl Hackett and I are going to talk about this at length in the featured modeler section this evening. We think that this is going to be extremely beneficial, not just for individual modelers who may be able to learn how to use a CAD program that is free for them. They don't have to buy it. They download it for free, learn how to use the CAD program, and then get a part printed, and then find how to assemble the parts into an actual model. So we're really looking forward to this and hope that this is really beneficial, not just to modelers, but to also the small manufacturers. It may help them be able to save some cost and do some of the CAD work themselves rather than having to find somebody else and pay somebody else to do it for them. The other one, and that starts on July the 13th. We're going to talk about it tonight to give you a chance to download the CAD program and become a little familiar with it. But Earl is going to actually start the build along part of it on the July 13th show. Then also on July 23rd, David Rarick and Father Ron Walters are going to build a card model that Paul Egret designed of a service station. This is going to be in any scale you want to build it in. You can download it off of our website as of the 15th of June. It'll be posted by then and download it right from our website. There's really no cost. You'll need a knife, some glue, straight edge, that kind, and cutting mat, that kind of thing. That's basically all the tools you'll need. You'll be able to build a service station with a fully detailed interior. And you're going to see two modelers build it using different techniques in card. Then starting on June the 29th, we have our next My Build. And Phil, if we could run the sponsors video for the My Build.
Welcome to the world of scale, O&S railroading. We are your resource for all O&S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
I really do appreciate Amy and Dan Darty being the sponsors for this part of our show. Because the philosophy of both of their magazines is bringing modeling back into model railroading. And I'm behind that 1,000%. And so I'm really pleased that they decided to be the sponsors for this segment of the show. Chris Corse is the person that runs this part of the show for us. So Chris, would you like to talk about it a little bit?
Sure, Jim. I'll bring up the slide. And weekly. All right. The next My Build, like Jim said, is June 29th, and it is featuring you to participate. Email your photos to me at railrunner130@hotmail.com. And if you haven't participated in the past, please include a picture of yourself for your title card, and we'll put that in there. And it doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. It could be somewhere in between, or maybe it is the worst thing in the world. Something you learned from, something you want to share, something you found at a garage sale, something you've been working on for 20 years and still haven't finished yet. Either way, it doesn't matter. Please send them to us, and we will show them on the My Build and have you talk about them for a little bit too. Back to you, Jim.
Chris, I really appreciate the work that you put in doing this. Can't thank you enough. Also, if anybody that shows their models on that, they also get them published in the next issue of one of the magazines in my New Tracks column. So you get it in the magazine as well as being able to show it and talk to us about it. It's really important that you do this because it gives other people an idea of what you are building, what the people that they see on the show maybe have built something or they hear about, and it shows what you're building and maybe gives them some incentive to try to do the same thing. And that's why I think that these are so important and why we have them once a month to give everybody the opportunity to participate. We have on June the 15th show a door prize from Locofy. It's one of their newest design operating systems for one of their for one of your locomotives. And the representative is going to be on our show that evening to talk about the latest improvements that they have made to their design. And it'll be, we'll give one of those away as a door prize. You have to be present in the show, at the show to win. So if you view the program on June the 15th, then you'll have an opportunity to win one free and be able to use their operating system in one of your locomotives. Also, Mr. Clark Kooning, MMR, notified me today that he's going to take a vacation. He'll be here this evening. He'll be here next week. And then he wants to take a vacation because he lives in an area that just has fantastic scenery, beautiful lakes, that has one or two fish in it that Clark wants to go out and try to catch. So I'm looking for somebody who would like to take over the after show for the period of time when Mr. Kooning is out in his boat trying to catch the one or two fish in the lake. So if anybody would be interested in doing that, please let me know. It's Jim Kellow at newtracksmodeling.com, and we'll get you involved in the operation of our show a little bit by handling the after show. And that won't be for 2 weeks because, as I say, Clark's here tonight and he'll be here next week. So it would be on the show starting on the 15th of June. So if you're interested, please let me know. I hope somebody is interested because it's so boring for me to have to do it. Everybody tells me how boring I am when I do it. So that's why I'm looking for somebody that has some personality that can pull it off like Clark is. So with that said, I'd like to now turn to Bob Farquhar for our quick tip of the evening. Bob?
Okay, Jim, this is going to be a quick one for sure tonight. It's going to be, if you're looking for some plastic, styrene, 60 thou thick. These are pine boards on city buses all over the place. This particular one, I think, is 2 feet wide. Yeah, most of them are 3 foot wide, 8 feet long, 60 thou, and they're free. If you go to them, they have to pay to get rid of these pieces of plastic to take them to recycling or whatever. I've got 3 of them from the Ottawa Transit, and I've got 2 from the Kingston Transit over the years, and it's been free every time. So that's an option for you. Back to you, Jim.
Fantastic. I love the word free that you had in there, Bob. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I hear that Paul is getting better.
Yes.
So I'm encouraged about that and so happy for him and looking forward for his quick return.
All right.
Thanks, Bob. So now let's turn to our first build along this evening with Chris Course who owns Conowingo Models and has a new kit out called the KELLOW Trolley Station. Chris, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Go back to the PowerPoint here. All right, tonight's build along, June 8th, KELLOW Station. We're doing both HO and O scales. If you haven't purchased your kit yet, go to conowingomodels.com. And for the HO scale kit, use the discount code JIMHO. And for the O scale kit, JIMO. And it's not valid on any other items. Apparently somebody tried to use it for something else and it didn't work for them and they weren't happy and all that. But anyway, and that is good until June 15th. And if you're at the O scale show up in Harrisburg over the weekend, we will be there and we will have kits. All right, so now we're on to episode 3. And let's see, tonight we'll go over the building assembly and the roof attachment. It doesn't look like much, but this is actually probably the most complex episode of all. And as a reminder, some parts will look a little bit different than between the scales and also between them and the pilot model, because as we built these the pilot model, we learned and figured ways of doing things better. And so the illustrations may not look quite the way that they do as you're building it as well. All right, so the assembly, you should have, you see in that middle picture, the number 1 wall glued to the ridge beam there, and you should have all of the respective braces for the building itself hanging on the ridge beam, and they should match up by the numbers. And also you should have the one piece that doesn't have the lower part of the structure on it, the lower bracing there, that should be over the center door. So be careful of that. And then once you get all that into place, what you're going to want to do is dry fit it. And don't worry initially about the 2 long walls, and they'll play catch up. So basically what you're going to do is drop the number 2s and the number 4s into the slots, and it should all match up for you. Yeah, don't forget that number 1 on the we'll call it the inside, but it's basically the part underneath the canopy there. And make sure you get all those lined up. They should drop right into place. And gluing isn't necessary but recommended. But what I actually did is I ran a little bit of glue on across the tops of the number 2 and the number 4. And if you break those pieces, it's not that big of a deal. You can kind of see where they should fit into place anyway, and just glue them there to make sure that they do fit like they should. All right, so you're going to add the braces, the number 3s to the ridge beam. So you, on the end, so you form that. So you form that end area that's going to be open and outside of the building, but still under cover. You're going to dry fit and glue the bottom cleats into place by dry fit and glue. So like make sure they fit first, then glue them into place. You want to glue this whole thing on a concrete pad that'll keep it nice and straight and square and as it should be. The pilot model for the O-scale version was a little stubborn, and that we had to use some weights to put it into, hold it into place. I'm not quite sure why that was, because it should be nice and straight. But another thing you can do is those long gingerbread pieces that we talked about way back in episode 1. They come into play. What you can do is put just the tiniest dab of glue on where those arrows are all pointing, and slide that little puppy in there. Make sure it's make sure that your right and left are even, and that'll hold those pieces into place as well. This whole thing is designed to fit together nice and square, and so it shouldn't have any problems with it coming out. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the roof attachment. What you're going to want to do is use a metal ruler or the edge of the table to bend the crease on the 2 roof halves. Or if you remember, we put that that piece of construction paper down on the inside of the roof to serve as kind of a hinge piece. So you want to be careful how you do that. On this on the O-scale kit, it actually broke on me, and it was really a pain in the rear end to get it in the wrong spot. It broke on me in the wrong spot, and that made it a real pain to get it to fit snugly on the roof like it should. The pilot model, the roofing pieces were actually a little bit too short. So on the production models, we've extended that a little bit. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to play with both pieces and figure out how much to cut off of the top so that you get the right fit for what you're looking for on that. You're going to want to glue those into place, and of course use clamps. We found those little cheapo clamps that you can get at the hardware store worked very well, and we recommend doing one side first and then going on and doing the other side second after the first side has been dried. All right, optional. We didn't use it on the HO scale kit, but we did use it on the O scale kit, is add a ridge cap from the sheet of shingling. This will, if you use it from that sheet of shingling, it'll ensure that the colors match. And you're just going to have to kind of play it by ear and see how it all fits out. You do that, use a metal ruler and bend the ridge cap in half so that it fits. And then you can glue them into place once you're happy with that. All right. So it was kind of a short episode, but yet at the same time, once you start getting into it, it's actually pretty complex. So your homework for tonight is finish the roof. You want to touch up the paint and finish painting your details and your sign parts. And next week we will finish up with adding some the last bits of details and the signage and all that, and we'll go from there.
Chris, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
The roof seems like that's going to be the most difficult part of this model. Have you got any tips? I mean, just to keep it simple. How do you build this roof? How do you slap this roof together and when it comes out, you've got the roof you want? How did you finally figure out this was the easiest way for you to figure out how to do it?
Well, I played with this roof actually on a couple other designs. And really the biggest thing you can do is take your time, make sure you get everything even. Because I don't know how many times I put a roof on slanted. So it's all cockeyed and then hangs out on one side, not on the other. And so just take your time, dry fit it. And I think that's your best bet for it. And use those clamps. The more clamps you can get on it and the more grasp of it you can get between like the ridge beam and the roof itself, the more you can do that. And you're going to need to use a decent amount of glue, depending on your personal confidence level with it. Is you might want to either use a CA or slower drying glue like Aleene's. And that will really kind of determine, just basically you've got to feel for it. You've got to feel, okay, I've got a good high confidence in putting this roof on. So you can do a little bit different things with it. Or maybe you don't have that confidence level. Maybe you just need to sit there and play with it for a little while until it works for you.
And maybe dry fit it quite a bit before you even have any glue at all. Just to, if you're comfortable with the way that it looks, maybe while you're just holding it on there, maybe that's step one. And then step two is a little glue that, okay, now you've got it where it's on there by itself, and then you can come back and then glue the heck out of it.
Yep. And if you have a wife or somebody that can help you with an extra set of hands, that may help too.
Gotcha. Where do you buy the little clips? I've never seen those before. Where did you get those?
Those I got them. I got most of them, I think, at my local Ace Hardware. I just happened to be in there one day, and of course, I'm always tooling around looking for something. But these little clips, I've got about 15 or 20 of them. And you can get them for like a pack of like 5 or 10 for like $1 or $2. I mean, you can get them at the dollar store also, I think. I know that there's some tool sellers that at the local train shows that'll sell them to you.
It's a neat tool.
But they're not hard to find. You just have to look for them. Yeah,
it's a neat tool. I've just never seen them before. Thanks so very much.
Sure thing. Thank you, Jim. Any more questions?
Hey, yeah, Chris, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to tell you that I am really enjoying your kit. I'm having more fun building this thing. And also wanted to point out, my kit came with the roof shingles that don't have adhesive on them. First time I've ever built a kit without the adhesive backing. And I found out I really like these roof shingles because you're able to paint them. And I think you're going to like what I'm doing to your kit. I'm going to bring it to a my build one of these days, and I think you'll like what I did to it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's funny. In the past I've used some shingles that didn't have the backing, and yeah, I was kind of so-so about it. And then I used a bunch. I actually got into the habit of using a bunch that have the adhesive backing on it. And I wasn't quite convinced that that was quite the right way to go, because I noticed they slid a lot, but they must have done something, because to me, they don't seem to slide like they used to. But the last time I ordered those particular shingles, they were out of the rail scale was out of that backing material that makes them self-adhesive, and apparently there's a shortage of it. So apologize for that. But either way, I mean, that's a philosophical thing. It's like, do you use it with the adhesive backing or without? Right now we don't have a choice. So
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for Chris? Chris,
Alrighty.
thanks so very much. Really do appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Was that you, Phil?
No, I have a question
Oh.
for you, Chris. First of all, I want to compliment you on the kit. It's fantastic. I really am enjoying putting it together.
Yes.
And I'm doing the O scale, and I guess I was wondering the upper gable kind of different siding with little points on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Does that sit proud of the actual siding? Because it looked like on your kit there that it sat a little proud, and it actually looked kind of neat because it kind of cast a shadow. And I couldn't tell if you had a gap between the two side pieces, if you have a spacer or something in there.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to find. I thought I threw a bunch of old scrap ones away yesterday. I was gonna pull it out and show it. Show what we're talking about here.
Well, and if we don't have the time, you can get back with me. Email, you've got my email, so.
Yeah, I don't see it around, but anyway, that was actually what I determined was that when you put it on that piece of board and batten,
Right.
to me, it should be you should scrape that board and batten off, and it should sit flat on top of it.
Okay.
But if you're saying that, I mean, I guess that's personal choice. If you think it looks better sitting on top of the uncut board and batten, I'd say go with it. I mean, if that's,
Well,
like how it looks.
it just looked like yours. It was that way, and I hadn't thought of it until I saw that, and I thought, well, that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I still do. I owe you an email, Ed. It's been a really, really crazy 2 weeks.
No, that's okay.
I
I
apologize.
understand that you have nothing else on your mind except to email me. So
So I will get you that email.
all right, thank you, Chris.
Sure thing. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, Chris, I guess you're going to have to put the checks in the mail to those two guys after they complimented your kit so much. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for your comments.
All righty. Thanks, everybody.
I would like to mention one thing here before we go to the next segment, and that is our YouTube channel. It's called New Tracks Modeling. We have now 900 subscribers, and we are shooting for 1,000. So we need 100 more people to sign up as subscribers on our YouTube. So if you haven't done it, I hope you do. Again, you need to go to our channel on YouTube, New Tracks Modeling, and subscribe, ring the bell. And if you have already done it, then I hope you'll ask your friends to do it, because we need 100 more people before we get to 1,000, and 1,000 is our goal. And right now we just hit 900, so we're 100 away from it. And I would appreciate it if you all can see your way clear to help us reach this goal. We sure would appreciate it. With that said, I'd like now to turn to Phil Edholm to talk about the NMRA clubs and division segment of our show. I hope you all are enjoying this, because it's one of the ways that I personally was able to meet people that helped me in my modeling. And I think you may find the same thing is true for yourself. So Phil, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Jim. Well, unfortunately tonight, this happens occasionally. Our guest was unable to make it. Dan Cohen and one of his friends were actually going to be talking to us tonight. And Dan and I talked and decided it was better just to reschedule than him do it alone. So we actually had a contingency plan in place just in case we lost a guest. And it really is to have a little bit different discussion. And first, I really wanted to start with the idea of picking everyone here's brains. So what I'd like to do is pose the question to you. What was the most fun thing that you did either at a club or a division that you would recommend that other people do? That other groups emulate. So what did someone do? What did you do personally, set up? What was that event that really was exciting to you and as a modeler really made your day? Anybody think of anything? I mean, we all know, standard events with clinics and that, but were there other things that your organization has done you thought were really innovative and exciting?
Can I chime in?
Jump in. I'm looking to get 10, so there's only about 30 of us. So that's 1 in 3 of you's got to come up with something. So
well,
pretty simple math here, guys.
I'm in the daylight division out here in PCR out on the West Coast. And the most enjoyable thing I've done in that organization was to get my Master Builder of Structure certificate back in the day and to go through that process. And what I want to do now is get the rest of them to become an MMR. So that's my goal now. But that was really enjoyable, that whole process.
So the process of achievement was really a big enjoyment. Cool. Any others? Anybody else? A tour.
One of the things at our club, the Chatham Auto Railroad Club, up here in Ontario, Canada, our club got together and went down to Ohio, and Pat's going to have to help me out with the name.
Sugar Creek, Ohio, where the roundhouse is.
Yeah, it's the Age of Steam, Pat.
Yes, it is.
And I'll tell you, if any of you out there can make that trip with a group, it is worthwhile. And there's nothing but live steam. It's like going back in time. This place.
So were you able to do that as a day trip, or was that an overnight trip?
That was a day trip.
Day trip. So a day field trip. I think that's a great idea to think about, those day field trips that go to someplace really interesting.
It was a long drive and they thought we'd never get there, but we did. It was a long drive.
Yeah, this place is out in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Amish country, and it's just beautiful. When you get there, you will not believe it. The man that constructed it, he's passed away, but his family still runs it. And as I say, if you like steam locomotives and railroading, to walk through this roundhouse is just fantastic.
One of the things I found here locally is that those organizations that have what I'll call railroad interest activities here, the Niles Canyon Railway, they're really very interested in partnering to do a trip like that and introduce you, because quite frankly, from their perspective, we're their best chance to go find new volunteers. So it's something that really works well. That's good, Gary. Great. Any other thought processes?
It was real heavy on my Visa bill too. I ended up buying all the tickets. Then I had to turn around and collect.
So an area that's interesting is, one of the things that we facilitate a lot as both clubs and divisions is what I'm going to call the exchange of no longer valued modeling materials. In other words, buying and selling stuff. I'm curious, has anyone had a really unique experience with the way a club managed that? for
Yes.
an auction versus a swap meet versus. I'm just really curious about different exciting ways to manage that concept of providing a way for people to exchange, products, things and money.
In the end of October, we're going to have a auction sale with our clubs putting on, and we'll be selling all kinds of, the things that people want to auction off, get some ready cash in their pocket. And it's the Chatham Model Railroad Club, of course. We are quite active in a lot of that stuff, and it really means a lot to keep your members together. We have never lost any real members. They just stick around forever.
One of the nice things about the auction that we provided in October, it's been going on for like 52 years, and it's a way of estates being sold.
Yep.
We handle the estates of members and other model railroaders that are in our divisions in the region. And by handling that, then we just turn the money over to the family when we're done. So it is a good way to get rid of excess and also to dispose of estates.
Any other other than auctions, any other exciting things, ways you can do silent auctions, anything like that you've seen that you thought was a really great idea?
I can tell you, I haven't attended a meeting because I'm out in Minnesota, but the New Jersey division has a free table at their meetings. So it's another way to, I would take advantage of that, certainly, because then it would just put another project on my table, make me want to build something out of it or whatever. So I like the idea of that too. While the auctions help our division, Twin Cities division does an auction too. It helps the division out, helps people get rid of stuff. But the free table also, I think, is a great engaging idea.
Interesting. Cool.
Another thing I feel that we've done in our club is that make and take for our WOD district, Western Ontario division. I had a make and take on doing the trees that I make that you see in my background. We're going to have a clinic on that coming up soon on New Tracks. So yeah, that was a thing that everybody enjoyed. They all took home a tree that day. They didn't think to be able to do it, but I supplied all the materials and we made sure they had everything there to work with. And then I also showed them how I did it on a slide project. It all works out. It keeps the interest going, keeps people busy. They even brought their kids with them and they were building the trees too. So it turned out to be quite a day.
Quite the Tom Sawyer moment
Yeah.
with the fence and all. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Anyway, I think I talked enough.
So that's an interesting kind of, that's a way of doing a clinic that's kind of almost a build-along clinic. Or any other clinic thoughts of things that have gone really well as far as clinics?
Well, our division every month has a display table, and we vote on popular vote, and it's just bragging rights from that to the next month if you win. But that allows, and we'll always have a topic that's usually based on the previous month's clinic. We always have a presentation, and if that presentation happens to be on freight cars of a particular area, then next month's contest will be bring a freight car. But at the end of the year, we have almost a consolidated, and the best fun we've had with that is to using the resources of the division, and there's probably 40 to 50 members that show up for every division meeting every month, and a couple of hundred scattered throughout the region. But we encourage people to get a discount, and we've used plastic models like an old AHM coaling tower. with the idea that you purchase the same kit for a very reasonable price, and then let the members chip in to help defray the cost. So everybody buys a kit, and you make it so cheap that everybody wants to buy one. And then 3 months later, you have a presentation and kind of a popular vote judging to who did the best kit bash of that particular model. And we've done everything from a freight house to a passenger station. And the idea is to turn it into something it's not. So if you got a coaling tower, it can be turned into, one guy made a covered bridge. Another guy made a station out of a coaling tower. So it's kit bashing, and you take 3 months, everybody builds the same kit, and the laughs and enjoyment that you have after 3 months of very creative modelers bring in what started out as pieces, and you're also allowed to buy 2 or 3. One fellow built a roundhouse out of multiple Keebri station kits, and he built an 8-stall roundhouse. It was just fabulous. But it's using that creativity. Everybody starts with the same basic components, and then you just let your imagination run wild. And in 3 months' time, you bring it into the meeting, and we all discuss what we did and what we tried to do, and it just really is the most fun.
Yeah, that's very good. So curious, one question is, are there things that a division or a club provides that are essentially things that modelers can't necessarily provide themselves, whether they be tools, or I was thinking about, for example, a car tune-up day where you bring your cars and all the tools are there and people to help you tune your cars up, or something like that. I'm wondering, does anyone do that where they acquire things or have resources that individuals can't have, but you can have as a group and have it so folks can use them? Is there anything that's, again, a way that to be part of the group and have a value in it? Does that happen for anyone?
Well, my division did that about 3 months ago. Now, everybody brought their own cars, and it was over 2 meetings, but we kind of pooled the tools. Everybody brought their toolbox. So the clinic was tune up your cars, passenger freight, whatever, non-revenues, and over spending about 45 minutes of our meeting time with just hands-on. And of course, it was aimed at our newer members. Fortunately, our division is growing, and by having these hands-on participations, the word gets out and folks come and learn how to do it. Now, the years ago, we don't have tools available, but we did a clinic 2 months running on weathering. So we went out and we bought at the local Michael's or craft shop. We bought powdered pastels, we bought craft paint, we bought cheap brushes, we brought little water trays and knickknacks, the kind of the stuff you would do with Cub Scouts. Very inexpensive, and the division still owns those. So we're even thinking about doing another weathering clinic, because we have very skilled weathering people, authors, who just enjoy doing that. And we have all that material available, and it's stored in one of the members' garage right now. It's just a bunch of little plastic shoe boxes that have all these kits in it. So division can buy things very inexpensively and make them available to a mass hands-on clinic.
That's great ideas. Great ideas. Well, One of the things is it's sometimes nice just to have conversations and get everybody's thinking a little bit about a specific area. And we took advantage tonight of the fact that we didn't have a guest. We'll have him come back in the future. But at this point, Jim, I think that's probably a good discussion for this evening, and we'll turn it back over to you.
I think it was a great discussion, and it shows the variety that's out there, and that's really what this segment was hopefully designed to do. I will mention one thing, because I wasn't aware of this when I was a division superintendent. This wasn't out there; it wasn't available to me. I understand now that the NMRA National will give money to a division that holds an event designed for member retention. And I understand if the division holds this meeting and notifies the NMRA National about it and gets it approved, then the NMRA National, you'll have to forgive me, I forget the dollar amount. It's either $25 or $50. And
Actually, Jim, the one I saw, I think it's 200. I was blown away. There's a $200, but it's limited to 100 divisions claiming it during the year. So there's a time frame involved.
But there's an individual reimbursement of $50.
Yeah, that's the one I think I had heard about. But to me, that's really significant, because when I was a superintendent, one of the first things that I ran into is I had to find a way to get money, because I had to rent space, I had to spend money. So how was I going to get money? Because the NMRA gave me nothing. So the dues, as far as I was concerned, that didn't help me at all as a division superintendent. I was out there by myself trying to figure out how on earth I'd find a place that we could get, some people to be able to get in it and be able to do something. And where was I going to get chairs and tables and so forth? And that, to me, having that capability of national to fund some of that Get Start money, to me, I think is a major new program for the NMRA that I would think that any division or local club would want to take advantage of. Is this not it? Does everybody know about this except me? Am I the only one that didn't know about this?
I never heard of it. Have you heard of it, Gary?
With the NMRA, you have to ask, so you have to have it on your mind to ask.
Yes, there's the trick.
And that's why I found out about the $50 per person.
But don't they help you out with the convention if you're holding a convention?
Convention is different, and let's face it. Some regions where there are national conventions, the MER has been living off of the money they made when National held a convention, and I forget how many years ago this was now. They held a convention within the MER, and the MER was the co-sponsor for it. And the money that the NMRA made was, they've been living off of that and spending a considerable amount of money a year based on that revenue flow. So if there are divisions, if there are regions where a national convention is going to be held, boy, if the division and the region doesn't jump all over that and make sure that they can get a piece of that pie, they're crazy.
You're talking, the WD, which is our division, received the $50 because we put on an event. And then just recently, the regions, because we've had no live conventions, they had quite a bit of money, and they took a certain amount of it and gave it to every division within their region.
Yeah.
And that was just done back in May of this year.
Well, when I took over a division, the division that I took over hadn't had a meeting in 25 years. And there was no money, there was nothing. And I went to a local club and said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll promote you every way I know how to do. I'll make sure all the members hear about you. If you can just give me a room and a couple of tables and some chairs, I'll hold the first division meeting. And the club went for it. Didn't cost me anything. So the club went for it. We had 25 members show up that day, and they got free entry to the show, and they came if they came to the division meet. And I'll tell you, if it hadn't been for that club that helped me do that, I'm not sure we'd have ever gotten that division up and going. So I'm telling you, the local clubs, whether they have anything right now to do with the NMRA or not, can be your best friends to get started if you just go to them and ask for their help. Because in most cases, they're looking for new ways to try to attract people come to the show. And if you, as quote, the NMRA local division, can start promoting what they're doing, then yeah, I think you can get some help from them. So, you know, as a way of starting and raising money for local divisions, the local club, whether they're with you right now or not, to me would be a logical place for you to go for help and to support their efforts and what they're doing. So with that said, I'll shut up now and move along to Mr. Bill Banner of Banta Modelworks for his build along of his On30 Caboose. So Bill, welcome.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to do here, we're going to build this caboose. Hope everybody can hear me okay.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
This is the kit box. And essentially what we've got in front of me is the 5 bags that come in the kit. Fairly simple. There's some parts in here for the steps and bending the grab irons, some other trim parts. There's some steps here and some wire, chimney. This is the roof with some roof covering, the siding, and end beams, and the inner, what I always call in the kits is the inner box. It's the inner structure of the kit. We're going to build that tonight. So I'm going to do this live. Wish me luck. I'm going to start with is trimming the parts off the carrier seats. And there's 2 ways I go about doing it. Single edge razor blade to cut the tabs, or one of these chisel blades. And it seems to work pretty well. Just go in and start trimming the part with my hand in the way, of course. Try the other way. I'm left-handed, so doing it right-handed is going to be tough. But I'll press through. If you got any questions as I go, feel free to ask, because I probably won't talk too much.
Now, Bill, this goes on a Bachman flat car, right?
You're correct. Let me just, this is a Bachman On30 18-foot flat car.
Okay.
When we're talking about it, I'll mention too that there's a little bit of modification you need to do to these cars. It comes with stake pockets, and trim those off. And I simply take a pair of side cutters and go in and put that off. Take an emery board and sand it down smooth with the edge of the car. The other modification, once you've taken all 8 of them off, is to remove the ratchet and pawl for the brake. That's why you have to do the flat car. It essentially will fit right inside the box once you get it built. So we'll do that as soon as we get these parts together.
Now, Bill, that flat car is already built, right? I mean, it's just out of the box, and you take the you do the modifications, and that's all you need to do.
That's correct. Ready to roll. Okay, so we'll take a 4-piece and fit the tabs in just like that. Then I'm going to sort of follow the instructions somewhat. Might deviate a little bit here and there, but we'll see. So fit the tabs together. And then what I'll do with the 3 sides, or the 2 sides in the floor, take a piece of painter's tape and get it on there and hold it together. We're just dry fitting to start with. I built several of these, honestly. So once you got it together, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue. To the inside, at least getting the glue to start to set. And I'm going to smooth some of that glue out here. Piece of scrap. Okay. Take the other side. And do use your third hand whenever you can. But sometimes 2 just aren't enough. We'll get the back wall with a piece of tape. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Once you get that 4th wall in, then everything seems to hold together better. All the tabs and slots do fit really nicely. Right. Let's get a little more glue in here. One more piece. And I always add my glue once the part has been tested in place, and I just run a glue fillet along the insides rather than trying to get glue on each part before I stick it together. Okay. Add a little painter's tape. Helps keep it together. Let's go. And the next part was going to be the roof ribs. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add the glue the inside to where these ribs go. And just fit them in place. See if we can make the right hand work as well as the left. Right, there we go. Now we'll just refer to the instructions because I forgot the next step here. Right. So now I'm going to take that tape off. And this gets 2 pieces of roof rib in this spot here.
Bill, what kind of glue do you use?
Thought you might ask.
Aha.
Is that showing up right on screen or is it backwards?
No, it's right.
Okay, shows backwards on mine. Anyways, that's what,
It's big enough.
it does come in smaller containers.
Is that the carpenter's glue or is it the white glue? Carpenter's glue is yellow.
It's a yellow glue.
Okay. A lot of guys like that stuff.
Yeah.
Dries fast.
Is that their smallest bottle?
Yeah, that says that was 5 gallons. It comes in quarts.
That dispenser you're using, you have to clean that often? Does it get clogged or?
It does get clogged.
If I'm not mistaken, that tip comes off and you can clean it out.
Not on these.
Oh, shucks. You're kidding.
I usually keep a piece of wire stuck in the end.
Okay.
As long as you're using these, fairly frequently, they don't dry up on the end. But this one hasn't been used probably a month or so, and it's definitely clogged up. So it's, I usually pick it up because I'm in a hurry. I got to do something, and nothing comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a few of these on hand and just go to a new one when I need to. I just get them off eBay. They're relatively inexpensive.
That's neat. I've never seen one before. I like that a lot.
I use a push pin. It tends to force, you got to force it in. It tends to last longer.
Right.
Doesn't dry up as quickly.
I think since I'm using brass wire, the brass wire affects the glue and dry quicker. At least that's my excuse.
And you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. And that's it.
That's why he's using glue.
As far as we're going to go, you can test it on your car. It's relatively tight fit. Snug fit.
That's great.
Now, how do you keep it on the bottom? How do you keep it on the flat card? You glue it or?
Once it gets to this point, I super glue it to the flat car.
Okay. Fantastic.
And there you go.
Anybody have any questions tonight for Bill?
Those slots that you have, do you usually fill them with wood dough or do you put something else on it?
Which you mean along the sides here?
Yes.
It gets covered up by the siding.
Oh, never thought of that.
Years and years ago, I started designing the kits with what I call the interior box. It seems to give the models, makes them a bit stronger. But if you have models that have different sidings on it, like a depot has some wainscoting on the bottom, clapboard on the top, if you have an interior structure to apply that to, it just makes for a much cleaner installation. And
Yes.
everything I do now has this interior bit to make it better, I guess. I don't know.
I think it also helps for your interior if you want to do the interior with like, it looks smooth walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You'd want to do your interior before you put those rafters across the top too, wouldn't you?
you would, yes. Yep. In fact, when we go to do the roof has its own roof supports and they will fit around everything in there. So
Oh, yeah.
we go, you know, I've always gone for keeping the roof removable so that at some point you can put interior in if that's what you want to do.
Mhm. Thank you. Great.
What about lighting, Bill? Do people put lighting in it?
I guess you could. I don't necessarily provide for that because there's so many different lighting ideas and techniques for doing it that, you know, it's just all different. Lifelike has their little system for doing lighting. You know, everybody's got their own technique to do that. So it's difficult to go through and say, right, put your lighting in just like this. I guess what I'm saying is I don't generally include that as part of the kit.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
Looks great.
Thank you.
Well, Bill, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you next week.
We'll be here.
Thank you. Well, now I'd like to turn to Martin Brechbiel, MMR, who is building an old kit for us, which is a little bit different than the kind of kit that you just saw Bill build. Martin, welcome. I hope your weather is okay.
It's only rain here, but I got a message from Greg. He's got thunder, lightning, and he's not with us anymore on the show. So there must be something to the north of me that's pretty ugly.
At least it's not where you are.
Oh, not yet. The night's young. The night's young. Wait for it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, are we good to go now? Looks okay at my end.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the third part. It'll also be the final part. We're going to zip through it, but we're going to back up over myself briefly because Jim asked about brake components. And last week I mentioned what we use, or what I was using, was just this simple K brake. It's a nice brass casting from Precision Scale. You know, you could use white metal ones that are out there if you want to save a few pennies, but I don't really worry about it anymore. I just buy them in bulk and I can keep running. But there are other options besides just a simple K brake, and here's one of them. And this is a 14 by 12 without a slack adjuster brake cylinder. Comes with the levers. You can see it has a nice lever at each end. And you can see little holes here. So you can actually run a wire off the end, tuck that under your bolster to simulate the linkage to the truck. And you can get these from Q-Car. And this isn't a simple freight car. This is actually it's an RPO freight motor I built a couple of years ago. But it basically has the same brake cylinder on it. But this one happens to have the slack adjuster. So you get different variations of these, again, from Q-Car. Q-Car is basically your one-stop shopping place for traction parts and detail parts now. That and eBay and train shows. There's basically nobody else out there. I guess maybe somebody's printing them on, you can download them off of Shapeways or wherever, but so far I haven't found too many of those yet. But there are not a lot of vendors in the traction field or any of the scales for model railroading, unfortunately. So you're stuck with the secondary market. And yet another variation, a little bit slimmer version, Actually, that's not right. It's a 10 by 8 or 8 by 10 without a slack adjuster, but that's also from Q-Car. So you have different possibilities. You can see how these link together, and you can run a wire back underneath there and it looks better. You can fill up the underbody a little bit more. I don't remember what that car is even. But now we can talk about radial couplers. Unlike regular freight cars, traction freight cars frequently have radial couplers. That's these little gadgets here on the end. These are set from Current Line, which is, as far as I know, defunct now. These couplers, if and when you find them, are prized, and it is highly competitive trying to get them off of eBay or anywhere else you can find them. That's one option, but they're out there, they're floating around. So, they're added to the rounded ends. Your past and current choices. Precision Scale makes these as a kit, the brass kit. It's really the old Chemtron brass kit. They can be made to operate if you have patience, will, determination, strong drink, colorful language, and more patience than the human body can contain. But they're out there. You can order them up, and they'll get to your mailbox someday. Q-Car sells the Q-Cars. It's not brass and white metal. It's all white metal. There's a brass fitting, I think, in the middle of it. That is a dummy coupler. Those are available. You can order those. They're very nice, easy to install. They come assembled. You don't have to mess around assembling the things. And that in itself is a major advantage. Current Line, I showed those already. That's also a dummy coupler. And there are others. The others are DIY. So there's what the Q-Car couplers look like. They swivel on this nice white metal edge. There's a little clip on them. They hang nice and neatly. 2 places for wood screws, 3 actually, for mounting them. Fairly easy, straightforward to use. Or you can make your own, because these are dummy couplers. And, okay, we have KD couplers. So can we just take some brass, solder it up, drill a few holes here, run a piece of wire, wrap it around a KD coupler, flathead screw, wood screw, and probably should be a pan head, but it was a regular wood screw. You've got a coupler, radial coupler. It is that easy. So that's one option. Here's something I ran across, and of course it's no longer in business either. Apparently Brass Specialist has gone the way of many others, but where you can get these couple little parts, which were basically extenders for KD couplers, mate them up with some 804s or 805s, and you can make an operating radial coupler. This is not as easy as it sounds. So, these go in the parts bin. You're not going to need those parts. You've got some number 2 screws, a little round bushing here, which you have to drill out a hole for. And, little divots that tell you where you can decide how far you want your radius to be. Chop off the part you don't want, grind it round. Don't worry about it. The KD coupler slips over this. And I use the word slips over it in the most generous of terms. A good half an hour with a good sharp file, maybe even the Dremel, and you might get the KD coupler to slip over that. And this little latch here slides over the top of it. You tap this and put a little screw through it. You're all set to go. And that's what it looks like if you do it, after much sanding and filing and colorful language and sore fingers. And it works rather well. But the problem there is, as I said, Brass Specialist apparently has gone the way of all good things. And it works. It goes on here very neatly. Drop a wood screw here. Put your little 256 in here. Screw it down, and you've got basically a working radial coupler that actually will function as a KD coupler. So you can do operations of some sort, or just have it look better than a dummy coupler. Okay, the other option is, well, why don't you just make your own, which is what I did. And you need a piece of flat stock and a piece of, this is actually square channel, as I recall, which just happened to be the same size as the opening of my KD coupler. None of that painful sanding, grinding, filing, aggravation. It slips right over. And don't need a little bracket piece. We have these things called washers. They hold that coupler on there just fine. So, brass flat stock, some square channel, solder it up, cut up a piece, drill a hole big enough for your screw of whatever size you decide to use. I'm using usually a 0 by 3/8 inch wood screw. This is a 256 with a little lock washer on top of it. Now I've got an operating KD coupler, radial KD coupler. Easy enough. So now we have radial couplers. Painting. This is going to go jumping right to near the very finished product. Lark dark gray, steam black, Weyerhaeuser green, my favorite color for my cars, roof brown, and some tan color, which I have no idea where it came from. I can't even find it listed in my notes, but these are flow quill and poly scale. So I'm still using those until I run out of them. Once I run out of them, I'll worry about changing to something else. So there's the roof. That was that canvas tarred roof. That got the dark gray, little roof brown roof walk. It's only 2 boards. There's grab irons up the side. Everything else got the black trim paint. There's that little tan. Weyerhaeuser green. It's a funky dark green, unlike anything else, because whatever Flow Quill called it, it wasn't. It was something else. But it's a green I just happen to like. And there's the roof. Another view of the roof. It needs a coat of matte clear to just dull everything down and tie it all together. But so a few added details: anti-climbers, which keep your cars climbing over each other at the end if they do collide. Q-Car or Wagner, which is current line, which is no longer available, but Q-Car has several types, some that span the entire, that's backwards. Some that span the entire radius, some are only fit halfway across. This is a brake wheel and gearbox. It came from Bowser's Selly. It's a white metal casting. It really actually fits rather nicely on these cars. It actually is, you need a nice metal wooden, a nice metal box here on the end for your brake wheel. Piece of chain hooked up to it, drop down through the floor to the connection for the brake line. And that pretty much ties up the entire end. And that ends that car. It's just that simple.
Great. Does the swing arm coupler, is there a self-centering on it, or does it just go where it goes?
It goes where it goes, because if you want to go around right around the city block on your interurban line, you can do that. You can make a, I don't know, 18-inch radius in O scale, maybe lower, maybe tighter.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually lets you get very, very tight. The biggest issue on those, though, is backing up is going to be an interesting exercise.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why a lot of traction in urban lines and stuff are circular. They go around and around. Don't back up. Backing up the wire, overhead wire, is a lot of fun too. In reality, as much as in models.
I did something similar once with some, but I put a piece of phosphor bronze wire straight on down, so it would center, so you could couple, but it would still swing with, with the radius.
Yeah, you can put there's a way to, you can even tie a spring to the top of this and mount it on and get it to self-center if you really wanted to, but I don't really worry about it too much. We go round and round here as opposed to worrying about such things as backing up and on. Any other questions? Got anything in the chat or anything?
Great job.
Have you by chance ever used a used coffee filter for the canvas roof?
No, but I have heard people do that.
Yeah, it makes a very, very credible material.
No, I think I'd have to steal those from my wife. She makes the coffee in the house, 2 cups at a time. So,
tea bags will also work if you're a teetotaler.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true too. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. But you can see also, this, I don't worry too much about how trying to get the roof perfectly glossy black paint, smooth roof. You're going to cover it over anyhow. Problem solved. Don't worry about it. It's life's too short to try and sand roof sections until they're perfectly glossy with sanding sealer and sand again and sanding sealer and sand again and sand again and then put a coat of black paint on it, which doesn't look like the prototype anyhow.
Nice looking car, Martin.
Thank you. Whoever that was.
That was Pat.
Oh, Pat. Okay, so that's end of this one. Jim, if you want me to do another This Old Kit, I've got one in a can waiting for you.
Well, I'm waiting for the maintenance of way car that I think is the next one you're going to do.
Actually, it's a caboose.
Okay.
It's a 4-wheel bobber.
Okay, instead of the maintenance of wave car, because that's what I've got scheduled here for the 22nd.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want to do a caboose bobber.
Yeah. How many episodes you want me to do?
I don't care. It's up to you.
Okay, you don't care. I can work with it. I don't care.
Okay. I don't care is how I deal with things.
Yeah, that's cool.
But thanks so much, Martin. This was a great one, and I look forward to the next the caboose.
Very good. It's an old train craft, and it's a the way I did it, it's a real adventure.
I haven't heard of that in a long, long time. That ought to be an interesting one. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Well, now we've got really something special for you this evening with Earl Hackett. Earl is a really knowledgeable 3D designer, printer, and he's agreed to do a build along with the people on the show, where what we're going to do is he's going to talk about a 3D program that you can download for free. He is going to take it step by step with you so that you're able to actually produce parts on that 3D program. And then we're going to talk about getting them printed. And then Earl is going to actually build the model of a bridge using the 3D parts that he's designed. And part of the build along is hopefully you're going to produce the same parts the way that he does and build exactly the same bridge that he builds. That's why we're calling it a build along. We think that this is going to be beneficial to everybody in the future that is a model builder, and particularly for small manufacturers who may be able to start doing the 3D design themselves rather than having to pay somebody else to do it. So with that said, Earl Hackett, welcome.
Hey, how good to see you all. Okay, I going to start with a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to share screen here. And let's see, play from start. How we do what? I don't want to see screen 2. I want to see this one here.
There we go. Can you all see that introduction
No.
slide?
No. It's not sharing.
Share screen. Oh, share.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Now, can you see that one?
You darn right.
Okay, very good. We're cooking. This is going to be an introduction to the system I'm going to be using. Now, one thing you have to realize is that once you learn one CAD system, you can very quickly pick up any of the others. My preferred system is called Rhino. It's a combination of surface and wireframe and solid modeling. It's what I prefer. But I went through a bunch of free systems that don't, and they're quite competent. They're excellent systems. And I selected one because it has some characteristics that are great for teaching. There's some software you're going to have to download, and because you're going to want to capture some information that I'm going to be presenting. And what I found works well for me is Screen Recorder Pro. It's a means of taking screenshots if you die, or recording an entire video of the presentation. At the beginning of each presentation, it's going to show you images with the dimensions of the parts we're going to be building. And this, I'm going to be building it in HO. So if you're going to be building it in no scale, you're going to have to up the size a little bit. And you probably have to make sub-assemblies so that you can get it into the printer volume. So as a minimum, you're going to want to have copies of these slides for reference as you work. And it is a free download from the Microsoft Store. This is what its little operating window looks like. And I have two screens on my system. So I'll be working on my primary screen, which is what you're seeing. And this little guy is going to be on the secondary screen along with a bunch of other stuff that I find useful to have handy. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select full screen, this guy right here. And you're going to want to make sure that you get the select the folder. If you don't select the folder, you don't know where it went. It can go just about anywhere. And there's another little thing here called configure. And configure lets you set up some hotkeys. For example, if you only have a single screen, like we're sitting here, you could bring up the, set this up and to trigger it, for example, to get a screenshot here, you just print your print screen button and it'll take the screen image and it'll store it wherever you have it set up to store it. You don't have to go through print screen and putting it in Paint and giving it a name and putting it somewhere. This thing just grabs it and sticks it there. If you want a full recording, you can, this is the default, it's alternate F9, and it'll record the whole presentation. Now, you don't really have to do that because I'll get this thing back up on YouTube in the next day or a day or two after we present it. Now, I looked at a bunch of free CAD systems, and some of them were pretty pathetic, but there were three that stood out as being really worth examining. And I had real high hopes for FreeCAD. It's open source, easy to use, but it has some bugs. Yeah, these guys have been working on it for years. It's much better than it was when I looked at it 5 or 6 years ago, but it still had some bugs, and I felt uncomfortable using it as a teaching system. Fusion 360 is also an excellent system. The only problem with it is the interface. It is at best confusing. There's all these little pop-up whirligig things that show up, and they can really confuse you. Now, can you see the little side screen over here with me at the top? Well, I don't know.
No.
No, you can't. Okay. It's not sharing that part. Okay. But I did print the main girder from it. When I get done with this slideshow, I'll show you the parts. It's functional. It works well, but I would spend more time trying to explain how to use the system than how to build the model. The real problem with CAD is looking at a structure and figuring out how to break it down into pieces so you can easily produce it in digital format. Onshape is also an easy to use interface. The files, and both Fusion 360 and Onshape, your files are stored in the cloud. They're not on your computer. But Onshape is unique in that the files are stored on a free service, what they call for Onshape for makers. The files are stored on a public server, and I can go in and take a look at what you're doing. And if you're having trouble, I can look at the history and possibly I can figure out where you went wrong. So that makes it great for instruction. Fusion 360, the free system cannot be used for commercial purposes. If you want to use Fusion 360 for commercial purposes, you have to buy a subscription, and that is $500 a year. I don't like subscription services. Onshape, there is no restriction on the use of the files, even on the free system, but they're stored on a public server and anybody can download them and do anything they want with them. It's considered public property. So that's how they control people. That's how they get people to want to get into their paid service, because that's in a private server and only you have access to it. That service is $1,500 a year. That is way out of my price range. So the public server is great as far as I'm concerned. Now, the one thing about Fusion Onshape, you don't download anything. Everything is accessed through a browser. I use Chrome. This might be a little strange for you because you bring up Onshape and heck, you're running the doggone system through your browser with a mouse. So this is their home page. When you want to set up an account, you scroll down to the bottom of their page, and way down at the bottom, and I mean it's way down at the bottom, you'll find sign up. Excuse me. You hit sign up.
Earl, let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
How do you get it on your computer to start with? I know you say it's a browser. I have no idea what a browser is.
Oh, browser is just.
How do I get this on my computer?
You just use Chrome or
How
Foxfire.
do I use Chrome?
Do you go on the internet? This is just like visiting an internet page.
So
I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to demonstrate it before we're done here.
Okay.
I'm going to actually go on
so
there.
I type something in, for example, if I go to Google and I type, what do I type in Google to get to this page?
When you set up an account, you're going to have Onshape. It'll be a tab on your browser. It's it's right next to Google on mine. You click on that, and boom, you're in it.
Okay.
I'll demonstrate that. You're going to see it. It's really simple.
Okay.
But you go to sign up, and you click that, and you come to this page here. And this is for the professionals and education. You want to go to Onshape for makers. Down just below that, you click on this one. And you come to this page, Onshape free. And it says get started. So you click on get started, and you come to the setting up your account. You put in your name, first name, last name, email, describe what you're doing. You're going to put in a password and all this other stuff. It's just like setting up an account just about anywhere. Once you set up the account, you come back and you click sign in. And this is the Google. This is my Chrome page image. You click sign in, and here it is. This is the bridge that I was designing, I designed. And the first page you come to is, you'll go through a sign in. It says, okay, sign in, put your name and the usual sign in stuff. But this is what you see when you get in there. This is what they call the sketch page. And it has certain things. The ones that are important that you're going to use are line, center point, rectangle, center point arc, trim. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. Dimension is very important. Coincident is very important. And then these are restrictions. These will, if you have a line, you say, I want it to be horizontal, you can click it with this, want it to be vertical. I find these pretty useless, but you need to know that they are there because they're going to give you indications to what's going on. Once you have a sketch created, come down here. These are the ones you really want to look at this week. Line, rectangle, center point arc, dimension, coincident. I'm going to demonstrate these things. And what you need to do is get yourself an account and play around with them. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a few minutes. Once you have a sketch, you're going to say, okay, and it'll bring you out of the sketch and you come to what they call the solid menu. And here you can extrude it, you can revolve it, you can thicken it. That's a strange little thing, but it's really handy sometimes. You can make a linear pattern for arrays. You want to roll rivets, that's where you go. Mirror, union, and transform. I'm going to demonstrate all these things in just a few seconds. The solid tools you're going to really want to practice with is extrude, revolve, linear pattern, mirror, Boolean union, and transform. And they're very easy to use. And we're going to go through the lesson topics we're going to go through. First week is going to be the main girder, the outside stiffeners. We're going to go, the second week, we're going to mirror the stiffeners to the inside and add cover plates with rivets. Then the next week will be floor beams and stringers. The fourth week will be cross bracing, and fifth week will be 3D printing. We'll show you how to set up the printers, set up the supports, and I'll show you, I'll run the printer. One of the things I'm doing is I've set up in my email account, I have set up this email address, this email, I don't know, it's an email address. You can write to me with any problems you have. And I'll do my best to get back to you. This is the nice thing about Onshape is that your files are all stored on a public server. I can go in and I can look at them and I can look at them in detail. But for me to do that, remember to save your work under a unique name so I can find it, because there's thousands of images in there. A lot of people use this thing. Okay, time to kick the tires. Let's turn this off. Okay, now I'm going to bring my, where'd he go? Here it is. Okay, I need to blow this out to full scale. Come on, Zoom. I just want to show. This is good. What are you seeing right now?
White paper right in the middle.
It says Zoom United, and Zoom join meeting.
Okay, wait a minute. Here, wait a minute.
We're seeing your screen.
Okay. Am I expanding
Just
stuff
make
right
that
now?
full size. Make that full size. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Blow this up. Here's Google. This is Onshape. This is the tab. Once you set up your account, you'll see this tab up here for Onshape. We'll click Onshape and you go to sign in. And I'm already signed in, so you didn't see the sign in screen, but you'll have these little projects that I'm working on. Now, this one is an empty project, and that's what I'm going to use to demonstrate some of the stuff. Okay, this is an empty screen. This is what you start with. Can you see this box here, all this stuff? See that rotating?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, that's great. Okay, so let's go to the, I'm just holding down the right mouse button and scrolling it around, and you can rotate this thing anywhere you want. If you want to bring it up to a particular surface, well, here's back. And of course, front, this is the back, so it's the front is shown backwards. Left, front, right. I'm going to go to the right side because it's convenient. Now, in any of these solid modelers, you're required to do a sketch. A sketch is just a bunch of lines to show an outline of a thing you want to build. You are required to put it on a plane, a defined plane, which in this case will be the right plane, or on the surface of a part. And I'll show you how this works. So let's say we want to do a sketch. You're going to click sketch. Sketch plane. And then what it's asking for will be in a blue square like this. And you just click the plane. So it says right plane. So we're all set to draw something on this surface. And you can select any of these tools up here, line, you can select any of these sketch lines. Well, I'm going to just go here and we're going to get a center point rectangle. And you just draw a thing. Now, these are the dimensions that it currently exists. I want to make this a square. So I can come up to the constraints, which are up here, come down, and it says equal. This one and this one, I want them equal. Now I have a square. That's pretty simple. Now I have to define what this thing is. What is the size of it? You saw that it had dimensions, but that may not be what you wanted. It probably isn't what you wanted. So they have this little guy here called dimension. You click on it, drag up the dimension, click it, and now you can enter whatever you want. Unless for a nice number, let's go with 50. And I always work in millimeters. Hit enter, and now you have a 50 millimeter wide and long square. Now you notice it's still blue. It knows what size it is, but it doesn't know where it is. And so what you're going to use is this coincident tool. And what this does, it makes 2 points the same. Here's the center of the square, and this is the origin here. I'm just going to click this one and click this one. And now it's centered on the square. So it knows where the coordinates of all these points. It knows it's at the center, and you notice that the lines turn black and the center is grayed out. So that's all there is to it. I now have drawn a square. Now I want to make it into a box of some sort, give it some depth. Well, you come up here and you say, okay, I'm happy with that. You check the little green check, and notice up here, the commands have all changed. These are the solid commands. And you can do a variety of things with this, but I'm going to extrude it. So we just click, this is extrude, this is rotate. These are weird things you don't need. And I probably want to, I think I'll be using chamfer eventually in this program, but right now we'll worry about that later. Click extrude. Faces and sketches to extrude. What do you want to do? Well, that's what I want to work with. So it says sketch 1. Depth 25. This is how deep you want to extrude it. Well, I'm going to make it 20. That's a nice number. And this is something that's important. These options down here are important. I'm going to say symmetric. And what that means, I'm going to show you in a second. It just created I think it was 50 by 50 by 20 rectangle or rectangle. Now I can rotate it around, and you'll note that the center is right in the middle of the rectangle. That is really important later on. So you want to be aware that if I didn't select symmetric, it would just extruded it right straight out on the face, on the right face. In other words, it would be displaced from here over to here. Okay, so there we now have a box. Let's look at it in the front. I'm going to put a sphere on this thing. Now, you'll notice that there are no spheres. These are solid commands, but there's no sphere. A sphere is going to be a rivet one of these days. So what I have to do is I have to go to sketch plane, but I'm going to sketch on the surface of the box. So it says face of extrude 1. I'm going to put a sketch on this surface, draw some lines on this surface. And we're going to take what they call a center point arc. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. And you're going to see something. When I come down and come close to this, look at this that little box down the lower, just down and to the right of my cursor. That little dot in the center of the line means I'm on the center of that line. You want to be aware that you can put on the center. You can put it over here on the corner, or you can see as soon as I'm attached to the line. If I come down here, it disappears. I'm just somewhere. And we're going to put it on the edge right here in the center. And now we're going to create a center point arc. Now I notice I keep my cursor on the edge. I click 1, and I put it on the edge and click 2. We now have an arc. Radius of 2.1. Well, okay. I'm going to measure it. I'm going to set it to a radius of, and again, you just click on the thing you're interested in, and you drag the dimension away. And now if it's highlighted in blue, you can create whatever you want. Now remember, this is the radius we're talking about. So if I wanted a 5 millimeter diameter gizmo, I type in 2.5. Now I have a 5 millimeter. Well, that's one. Remember, when we work with CAD in these systems, you have to have a surface. Where we have one line, that does not define a surface. So we come over here, we pick up the line tool, and we connect these two ends, there and there. Now those two ends are all defined, so that defines the line right away. And I'm happy with that, so I click check. I'm now going to take this and I'm going to revolve it and turn it into a sphere. So we're up here again. We've gone back to the solid tools. Revolve. Now here's this is a stinky little surprise it has for you. It says faces and sketch regions to revolve. So you click the region you want. And now it says revolve axis. Well, everything's fine so far. I said, okay, I'm going to use this line that I put in there as the revolve axis. So when it revolves it around, it becomes a sphere. Okay, look at that. The stinker moved it, made it add. If I click OK now, this sphere and this rectangular thing is going to be one part. I want to keep it as two parts. So I come back and I say, no, you stupid thing, I want new. Now when I say OK, I have two parts now. Part 1 is the box, and part 2 is the sphere. Oh, I hate that. Stop that. Okay, so because this is a separate part, I can take part 2 and I can move it. Now, when you move something, it is relative to whatever point you select. For example, this is where I can use the thing called a transform. This is part 2. I have part 2 selected. It says, okay, lines or points? Lines or points? I'm going to do that one. This allows you to select places to move it. So for example, I come down here, I can select the middle and move it from there to the corner. And if you like that, you can check the box and it'll be there. But you can also copy the part, and now I'll have 2. that's nice. Part 3 is over here. Maybe I don't like part 3. So I can delete it. Just hit delete on the keyboard. It says delete part 3. Yes, delete part 3. Boom, gone away. Now, it's still in its memory bank, but it's not part of the part anymore. But the other way to get rid of it is just to delete the transform. And for example, let's see, delete, and it comes back. Now I'm going to delete the transform, delete, and it goes away. I'm back to where I started. So you can always back up through this history. If you don't like what you did, just back up and the problem's solved. So let's look at the right side for a minute. I'm going to do another sphere. I'm going to do a sketch. We're going to run this surface here. Sketch plane, it says, okay. Face of extrude 1. This is face this time, little different face. And I'll come up here and I'm going to select my center point arc again. And I'll put it in the middle and we'll go boom, boom. This is going to be a little one. Radius, let's make the radius. Go up here, measure. I'm going to make the radius, I think, 0.2. I'm going to make a bunch of rivets. This is a little bit, a 1 inch in HO is about 0.3 millimeters. So this is a little bit bigger than a 1 inch diameter rivet head. So we have to make this, we need a surface. It's not a surface yet. So we'll go over here, pick up our line tool. Okay, and we say, that's fine. We're going to go to revolve. We're going to revolve this, revolve axis, this. And again, it wants to add it. Well, we don't want that. I'm going to stop that. It's going to be new. Okay. We'll go to transform. Now, and select entities. You can select them down here too. Liner points. This is where I probably don't want that. So let's translate by X, Y, Z. Now here you get to put in a direction, a distance you want to travel. Well, what distance do I want to go? Well, first you take a look up over here, and this shows you the Z and the Y axis. Those are the ones that are available to you. You can also do the Z axis, which is in or out of the plane, but that's we don't want to do. I don't want to do that right now. So we're going to take the Z axis here, and we're going to set this to -1. And we're not going to copy it. We're going to say that's nice. Boom. So this is still a loose part, but now I want a row of rivets. So what we're going to do is go to this guy here, linear pattern, and entities to pattern. I could select it here, or I could select it up there. It doesn't matter. Direction. Now this is a little misleading. There's several ways you can show direction. The most obvious is to select a line over here, which says, I'm going to go basically up and down in the Z direction, or the Z direction is here. So it's going to go up and down in the Z direction. The distance is how far you want them apart. 1 millimeter. How many do you want? It's a pretty big thing. I'll take 15. No, not 165. No. 1.5. Go all over the place. And hit enter. Oh, no, that was really neat. They went up. Not a problem. This is what the arrow's for. Push them back down where they belong. You now have a row of 1 inch rivets. 3 inches apart or thereabouts. Now, if you come over here, you look, we have all these parts. Now you can, I'll tell you what I'm going to just join them. We're going to take, nope, no. I didn't tell it I didn't tell it I was happy. I make mistakes. I'm new at this thing. 1 millimeter, 15. Enter. Shoot. Where are you? Okay, well, easiest thing to do when you screw up, come back here and go linear pattern, delete, boom, fixed. We'll try it again. Linear pattern, entities to pattern, 3, direction, that way, distance, 1, number, 20, enter, fix the direction, and check. Got it right that time. Okay. The problem was I went to select them and I hadn't checked it, so it didn't know what to do with me. So let's take all those, selected all those and part 1. And we're going to union them. So let's see what we got here. Part 15, 17, 8. I get them all. Part 1. Okay. Boolean union. We're going to union. It's going to take all these parts and make them into a single entity. Check. Now we have part 1, which is our original sphere here, and part 2, which is everything else. Well, let's take part 1 and 2, and we'll union them also. So everything will be one part now. So go to union, part 1 and 2, check. Okay, this is one part. Now, when I built the original, and I'll show you the original. I started with Fusion 360, and I built the main girder by drawing a 1/8 inch portion of it, and I mirrored it back and forth and over and under to turn it into the full-size girder. And you do that by going over here. So we have rivets on this side, this guy here, just to keep track of where I am. So I'm going to mirror part 1, mirror plane, this surface here, check, boom. And what this has done is taken these rivets here, they're on that side, mirrored the whole thing. And now you'll see the rivets are over here too. It mirrored the whole thing. It's still only one part. Now, if I come under here and I do the same thing again, I'm going to do it a little differently. Mirror, part 1, mirror plane here. See, well, he switched that over to the add. They love to do this. I'm going to make it new. So it's 2 parts. Check. And now you have these 2 parts with everything there. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to look at the front, stand that up right. I'm going to take part 2, and I'm going to move it from there to here. No, I'm sorry. I didn't move it. Transform, yeah, transform. Part, not one, liner points, okay. Liner points, I'm going to go from here to here. And that's good. And I'll take parts 1 and 2. And we'll union them, put them together. Check. Now I have a single part that looks rather strange. But you can see that you can move these things around. It's not a complicated thing to do this kind of work. And I'm going to get out of here. Okay. Put me on the screen. Oh. Could you get me
I think if
Okay.
you hit join, it'll do it for you. Sign in or whatever.
Oh,
Or I just stop your share.
Or stop share, yeah.
okay.
You're already logged into Zoom.
Stop share. There we go. There I am. All right. Okay, here's a couple things to show you. This is the, see if I could get this in focus. This is the girder I did in Fusion 360. And it came out all right. Fusion 360 does work. It works quite well. This is the girder bridge that I printed out of Onshape. It's a through girder bridge. And the detail is really quite astounding. This is printed in one piece. In HO, I have a Saturn Saturn printer, Elegoo Saturn, and this just fits on the build plate. If you're running in O scale, you're going to need a bigger printer, or you can print individual parts, like in an individual segment like this, and then glue them together. There's a variety of ways you can figure out how to break it apart and build pieces and make a kit out of it. But as you can see, we have all the interior detail, ribs on the inside, ribs on the outside, cross bracing. The cross bracing is a bit tricky. That took me a while to figure out. And it's pretty unique to build that stuff. So that's the last thing we're going to do. So what you really need to do is to get a copy of Onshape. Get sign into Onshape. You don't get a copy of it, just sign into their website. And you want to do what I was just doing. Just make boxes, make little spheres, linear patterns. Just get to know the tools. Because you have to be very familiar with the tools before you start tackling something as complicated as this. You don't want to be trying to figure out how to use the tool when you're really trying to figure out what do I do with this thing? Because you can't build it in one piece. It's a sequential construction, and you have to know. And that's what I want to really bring out, is how to break this thing down into logical sequences, so you can take a look at any structure and see immediately how to break it down and into manageable pieces, and then assemble it all in CAD and be able to print it out in a single piece or as a kit. Some of my parts, like my signal towers and things, they're kits. The roof is one part, the body's another, it has a chimney in the back, steps are another part. And you build them all as individual pieces and put it all together. Let's see, what else? Oh, one other thing. I'm going to go real quick. I'll show you Rhino some other day later. Right now, let's not worry about that. But I do want to demonstrate Rhino because it is it's a permanent license. You pay $1,000 and you get the permanent license for the rest of your life. Not a subscription, at least not yet. It may turn into a subscription service when they run out of upgrades. But the upgrades, they're putting stuff in there now that I don't understand. It is really exotic stuff, and I'll never buy another upgrade from them. So I'm just going to sit with Rhino 7 and use it for the rest of my life anyway. Okay, any questions?
Earl,
yeah.
In a later lesson, are you going to discuss how to download your file in CAD that you've created
Oh, yeah.
and be able to send that to a third party to do the actual printing, so we don't have to invest in
Oh,
a
yeah.
printer and resin and
Oh, yeah.
all the other good things to make our project.
Absolutely. Actually, Onshape makes it very easy. You go and ask it to generate an STL file, and it's slow. You're going to push the button, and it's going to sit there and hum for several minutes. But eventually, it'll spit it out, and it goes to your download folder. And then you just take that file and send it to Shapeways or whoever you want to send it to. Just as an email package, email attachment.
Thank you.
It's
Jim, I might mention at this point, we have a company that's owned by David and Kristen Kimmick. It's called 3D as in David, P as in Paul, trains.com. And they do 3D design and printing. And they're going to offer a 10% discount off of their print costs for anybody that is building along with Earl. Now, what you have to make sure of, however, is that the print you send them is what you want printed. And Earl can help you make sure that your print is going to deliver what you think it's going to deliver before you send it to them. And that'll be down the road before he goes into, this is how you send the print to somebody. So this company would be an alternative to Shapeway, an alternative to somebody that you may find is a friend that lives close by, that has the kind of printer you need and can print what you need done, and will do it for you off of his printer. But if you can't, and you're looking for a company, at least this first company that we have found will give everybody a 10% discount for the parts and so forth that you're building along with the Earl in this series.
Okay, so what you want to do, and I can't stress this enough, you want to look at those few tools that I showed you today on that little quick demo, and kick them around and just mess with them. Just push things around and just do all kinds of crazy stuff so that you get to know how they behave. There's some options in there that you can play with, where you can copy or you don't have to copy. You have to watch that thing always wants to go to add, so it takes your new part and sticks it, so you can't do anything with it. So you have to watch out for that. But other than that, there's not much really complicated environment there. It gets more complicated when you start looking at rivet patterns, spacings of stiffeners. It gets a little more complicated then. But this particular model, being a 50-foot girder bridge, the numbers come out very nice and even. You don't have lots of little decimal fractions that you have to worry about. So everything is pretty much whole numbers of millimeters. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to tackle them. But it's really important to be able to handle those tools, the sketch tools and those few solid tools. And it has to be just instinctive. If you make a mistake, you can always back out, but mistakes can get to be really painful if you don't catch them soon enough, because you may have to back way out. I did that a couple of times. Oh, one other thing. I did all the drawings for this while we were on vacation in our RV. My communication to the internet was through my 4G phone hotspot. And I saw no difference in performance with that versus the Fios high-speed internet that I'm working on right now. So the band, you do not need a huge bandwidth to use their system. I was very surprised that out in the middle of the Ozarks, we could I could access it without any trouble at all. Okay, anything? Okay, well, get yourself an account, and the next time around, we'll start actually building the main girder. That'll be, it starts to get very interesting.
Earl, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I mean, I think even I understand what we're doing now. So I will go and start practicing and see what I can come up with. But thanks so much for taking the time to do this for me.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Earl. That's really not an easy task to demonstrate what you know. You know, you do it second nature, and getting it across on a Zoom is a lot tougher.
Well, I've only been using this program for 6 weeks. But I've been using Rhino and AutoCAD I designed my house in AutoCAD version 1. That goes way back. So that was 30 some years ago. So yeah, I have been using CAD for a long time, but I don't do any of this fancy freeform, automotive, envelope type stuff. That I don't do. It's all pretty much flat surfaces and angles and things like that, because that's what our architecture is. And once in a while, a steam locomotive boiler, but that's just a cylinder. All righty. Well, good luck. Go ahead.
Look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Or not next week. On the 13th of July is when you're going to start this. So we got plenty of time to learn how to use these tools before we go into step 2 with you.
That's very good. And if you have any questions, drop me an email on that email I sent you. I think it's Newtrax Bridge. I can't remember the numbers. Some numbers. Anyway, I'll get that up on the screen there for you tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, just drop me an email.
And guys, I really think that's important, because, this is what the build-alongs are all about. If you need a crutch, Earl's your guy. So this is learning learning some technology that down the road may be the future of how we build model railroads. So I can't emphasize enough how important this may be to our future building and construction. Thanks so much, Earl. I can't thank you enough.
Okay, well, you're welcome.
Well, now, before we shut down, I want to talk about the Modeling Lifestyle show that we've just started that runs on Thursday evening every other week. Our next one is June the 16th. And we're going to have Howard Zane as our guest with some of his friends on it. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. The first one, I think, was very successful. We've had a tremendous favorable response to it. And I really think that this new show is doing something that the hobby really has needed for a long time. And if we can help provide it, then that's wonderful. Phil, if you could run the promotional video for us.
Welcome to the Modeling Lifestyle, where we celebrate how modelers have embraced their modeling and friendships as a lifestyle. We discuss how modeling can become a life passion and lead to lifelong friendships. The goal of the Modeling Lifestyle is to preserve the modeling and interests of leading modelers in the modeling industry. The Modeling Lifestyle is sponsored by NGMC, who believes that through bringing hobbyists together with both information and modeling, the hobby will grow stronger with more model builders than ever. NGMC, which started as Narrow Gauge Modeling Company, is focused in 1/4 inch scale across hobbies. NGMC is a market leader in 1/4 inch scale with a range of products from over 50 vendors. In 2021, NGMC became the largest reseller of out-of-production model paint in North America with over 9,000 bottles in stock. Join us every other Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the next Modeling Lifestyle.
I really hope that you'll tune in for that show. The only way that you can see this one, it's not on Zoom. The only way that you can see it is on our YouTube channel, Newtrax Modeling. So if you have not subscribed to it, you really need to subscribe to our channel. And then you'll be able to if you subscribe and ring the bell on the New Tracks Modeling channel, YouTube channel, then you'll get notification of all of the shows, and you'll be able to join us live on YouTube and ask questions and make your comments through the chat function there, the same as you have been doing on Zoom. But that's the only way that you'll be able to view the show live. So with that said, I do hope you'll subscribe to us. I do hope that you'll come and visit us. I hope that you'll come back and see this show often and tell your friends about us. And so that's it for tonight, Phil. Phil, I have sent you an email a few minutes ago. If you could check your email and reply to me, I would appreciate it. And other than that, let's turn it over to Clark Kooning, MMR, for the after show. Clark, welcome.
Well, thank you. How's everybody tonight? Woohoo! We've had lots of good information, lots of sharing of techniques, and Earl has got us all with hot plastic on our fingers. So, and Mr. Banta, have a smile there, buddy. There we go. How are you? Good to see everybody tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentations. They were excellent. So I'm not sure. Well, I guess I'm going to start. I'm going to make a comment. I sent Jim an email today saying that I'm going to take a vacation for the summer on hosting the after show. And the reason is, you know, up here in the north, we only have a short season, and I felt it was kind of hard to, if I was out fishing or whatever, to make it back, to make sure I was here for on time for the after show. So I decided that I would ask Jim if I could go on vacation. Apparently I get the same pay whether I work or not. So anyway, Jim said, sure, that's fine. And so maybe any of you would like to run the after show. I'm sure you could give Jim a call and he would appreciate it. And we'll see you specifically in the fall once the worser weather comes to Northern Ontario. But anyway, that's for that. And what else is happening? Let's see. For those who model in N-scale, get your Clark's woodworking shop from beautiful Bar Mills. They're out and I believe shipping. So let's see. Oh, I know Larry. Larry's not there. Larry McDonald. He had an interesting day. Yesterday they were out at a museum and they were even riding one of those rail cars, cyclopedes, and having a great time. So maybe Larry could report on that when he gets back. Let's see, anybody else new here tonight? We always like to talk to our newer people. No. All right, Bill, what have you been up to now that spring has probably come to the Northeast?
Farm work.
What's that?
Farm work.
Farm work. Okay.
Cleaning the barn, shearing the animals.
Yeah.
All kinds of outside stuff.
Yeah. I hear you. So, all right. Let's see. Who else have we got that we actually a lot of people have. I think we're down to.
Hey, Clark, I've got some comments.
Oh, hi, bud.
Okay. First off, the whole idea of the show is to promote scratch building. I've noticed that RMC and Model Railroader almost every month are publishing a scratch building project. And I was just wondering if there's some way that the show could promote that. In other words, you know, a list somewhere is, hey, these are scratch building articles that have been written you might want to try. What do you think of that idea?
Let me try to answer that. I think that would be a wonderful idea. I have tried to contact Model Railroader magazine at least 3 different times on different things to see if they would be interested in working with our show in any possible way that I proposed to them. I've never even gotten a reply. So until I can find out a way to try to contact somebody at Model Railroader and at least get a reply back, yes, no, or something, then no, I'm not interested in promoting it because I don't personally subscribe to their magazine. And therefore, I don't know how I would get the information. If the magazine is interested in working with us, then I would love to be able to work with them. Martin will tell you that I've tried to work with White River in a number of ways, and that hasn't been successful up to this point, although I have at least heard back from White River in their publications. The only publication that really has been supportive of us is the one that Amy and Dan Doherty published. Their 2 magazines, and frankly, Martin Brechbiel, being the editor of one of White River's publication, has been extremely supportive of us from day one. And he's been on the show many times. But I would love to be able to participate and promote their articles and so forth. For me, it's not, it's a 2-way street. We can we can want to work with them, but if they don't want to work with us for whatever reason, or they're too busy, or, if I can't even get a reply from them, then, I don't know where to go from there. So that's my answer to you. And at this point, there's just no point in me sending another email to a black hole because no one's going to respond to me from Model Railroader.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't know how to get a better answer.
Well, I was just thinking, if on the website we could put a list and say, January or July of, this article is written in July of Model Railroad. And, we certainly don't need their approval to just put a listing out.
I have to say something. I think it has to do with the rights that the guy is doing that scratch build in that magazine. You'd have to have rights to use that or even advertise his scratch build.
And another thing, I'm not worried about that. I am worried about asking our volunteers to do a lot of work and we don't get anything in return for it. If Model Railroader thinks enough of our show that they would like to participate and have us either on our website or if they'd like to be on the show, however they'd like to participate, I'm open to it. But if they're not going to also help our show and want to promote our show, then no, I'm not interested in dealing with them. And right now, I can't even get them to respond to me. So no, I'm not interested in asking our volunteers to do work for Model Railroader magazine if they're not even going to reply to my emails. It doesn't make sense to me why we should do it.
Okay.
I'd rather work with people that want to work with us. Look at the manufacturers that have participated and are participating with the build-alongs that we're doing on the show. They're offering their kits at a discount for the modelers that want to build along with us. They're giving the free kit to the modeler that is building on the show. I mean, they are making an investment, in my opinion, to benefit the show. So if we can put them on our website, if we can promote them, if we can talk about them, yeah, I want to do that as much as we possibly can, because it's a you scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of situation. We're not asking for money from them. I'm not asking for them to send Jim Kellow a kit so that Jim Kellow can build it. I'm asking them to give the modelers on the show that are watching the show a discount from their models, so that the modeler can benefit by watching the show and hopefully learn something and be able to build a better a model with the help of the person who's building it on the show. That's what they're all about. So yes, if I can promote their company, if I can promote what they're doing, I'd be most happy to. That's the least that I can do if they're willing to work with us. Now, what's Model Railroader going to do? Nothing. They won't even reply to my emails.
Okay. Next subject.
Thank you.
Hey, Clark.
Yes, sir.
While we were talking, I was working on building an HO Tishy tank car underframe.
Oh, neat.
Okay. And,
Yeah.
No directions. I'm just working by the seat of my pants. Very interesting. But you know, there's a lot of parts on the sprue that I have no idea where they're going. So I was wondering, has anybody built these underframes, and is there a set of directions maybe with one of their kits?
I'm sure there is.
Yes,
And
there is.
Gary, you might even have a copy.
I have the kits and I have a copy.
Okay. All right, I'll look in my stash to see if I have any of their kits, to see if they're see what the directions are in there.
What I'll do is I'll get your email address and we'll send you an email. And you give me your address and I'll get you a copy of those.
Okay.
Now I'm confused, Bud. I thought you were O scale.
Oh, hey, I'm a rubber gauger.
Oh, that's good. I built those tank cars probably 30 years ago, or a little when they first come out. Yeah, they're nice cars, very nice, but definitely don't have any plans now.
Well, it's just that, you know, I've got these El Cheapos, okay? And I'm thinking I'll just take the tank off of it and mount it on a new underframe, and I'll have a pretty nice detailed car when I'm done.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry, do you want to talk about the what do you call those panoplied car rides you guys went on yesterday?
Yeah, philosophy or
Philosophy.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, those two.
Yep. It's
I gotta mute for a few minutes, guys. But Larry, carry on.
It's an antique, and it you're not used to it, you know. Thing is, you can't go backwards. You can't let it roll backwards, or it'll derail. The guy warned us.
With you on it.
Pardon me?
With you on it.
Oh, yeah, with you on it. Yes, yes. But, so we had to be careful of that. I'm sure he applied the brake, but we were up to Waterloo Central in St. Jacobs. Two of our guys, or one fellow in our group, he has one, and then Ralph Beaumont, which maybe if some of you guys know, he's a Canadian author, rail and historian, so he has one. So he trucked it up there, and we got to run it up and down the yard. We couldn't go past the last switch because CN didn't like that. So, but no, it was a good day. And then they have a steam engine up now again, the 060, the one that used to be down at St. Thomas. And so it was sitting dead in the shed, but you could climb on it and all that type of thing. So, and then we were hosted because a couple of our members are with there's a large O scale club up there. It used to be called the Aberfoyle Model Railway Club. Now, because it's in St. Jacobs, it's the St. Jacobs and Aberfoyle, but it's been around for many years and in the press. And it's a fantastic representation of this area of Ontario in the 1950s in the transition area. So we got the opportunity offered to come up and run it and go up in the cab, in the engineer's cab, and go behind the scenes and things like that. So That's what Clark was talking about. It's one of our monthly meets, and we held it midweek. Usually it's on a Sunday. And so it's just so close to heading off tomorrow morning for Harrisburg. We're going to stop at the Pennsylvania Lumber Museum on the way down, and then the supper, and then so we'll be setting up Friday morning, be at Harrisburg for a couple of days, and then we're going over the East Broad Top. They can only squeeze in about, maybe, I'm hoping, for 4 hours before we start heading for home, because some of the guys aren't retired. So they have to go to work in the morning.
Yeah, I was talking to Al earlier and he was packing, so.
But it's, anyway. Yeah, Bud, that maybe frames, mainline modeler, do you have any of those old copies?
Oh, yeah.
They're a great resource, and I'm sure they'll have some tank car, drawings in there and articles on tank cars, and then maybe scratch your frame.
Okay.
Hey,
All
Bud,
right.
can you hear me, Bud?
Yeah.
If you send me your address in the chat.
Okay, I got it. I got it up in the chat, but I don't know how to send it.
Push send
Okay, where?
on your
Where's send?
keyboard. On your
Oh,
keyboard.
On the keyboard.
There's no send on my keyboard.
I'll send them mine either.
Me neither.
Of course, I'm not in email right now, but
It
yeah.
should be in. It should be on the on your chat.
Sometimes it doesn't say send. Sometimes it's up.
Just
it's
I
up-
use my keyboard enter.
And it's an arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
If you got to enter,
okay,
push that.
okay, I hit enter.
That'll do it.
Gary, did you get it?
I'm gonna check right now.
If it went to him personally, he will get it.
Oh, you're doing it through right here in the
You're
chat.
doing it through the chat here on the
Yeah.
Zoom.
I thought he said you saying email. I'm sure I thought he was.
No, you got to push enter for your chat.
Yeah, that worked. It went.
Yep.
Yeah, Gary,
Yeah.
you should have it.
I don't have it.
Push
Sorry.
put your arrow on chat and click it.
I did.
All right, now look.
I'm looking at the messages. It's not here.
Well, he must have sent it somewhere else.
Oh,
Well,
let's try again. Well, okay.
If it's going to Gary personally, it should be there somewhere.
Well, yeah, it looks like I've got to the in the list of messages, my message is up there, and it's got
Who's it
BB
just send
in
it?
the blue box.
It's got you in the blue box or Gary?
BB.
No, it's not BB. It'd be Gary
Me to
Shergold.
Gary, direct message, 9:32. All right, well, let's try again.
While you're doing that, can you send me a pizza?
A pizza
You don't need
what?
that pizza.
A pizza what?
Are we still on recording?
Yeah, we better.
we are.
Okay.
You want me to stop it?
Yeah, let's all do the intro out. Anyway, thanks for joining us here on the after show. We're kind of making it a quick night tonight. We've got some things we're going to discuss as we do the after show. So if you are so encouraged to join in the after show, you have to join in through the regular Facebook page.
That was the Zoom recording. We're still live on YouTube.
Okay, well, we should stop that one too. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube, and hopefully you'll join in next week on New Tracks Modeling.